What's going on, everyone? RJ Barrett. He is the young star for the New York Knicks, the first Knicks player at his age to average 20-plus points a game. He just got a 4-year, $120 million extension, and good for him, right? He is a young talent. He's a great talent. He's somebody that the Knicks plan to carry on their future with. There was a lot of talks about him being included in the Donovan Mitchell trade package, stuff like that, and there was even supposedly Leon Rose gave a deadline of like the day that he signed the extension for a Donovan Mitchell trade. Obviously, we see what route they went. Now it becomes a lot more complicated for the Knicks to trade for Donovan Mitchell. Now, a Donovan Mitchell to New York is not out of the realm of possibility. They still have plenty of draft picks, plenty of young talent to go and acquire a player like Donovan Mitchell. And the Knicks, I personally don't understand why they want Donovan Mitchell. I think it's kind of redundant, especially when you have a guy like Jalen Brunson. And on top of that, you got a guy like RJ Barrett, who isn't like an elite defender or anything along those lines. I mean, he is more of a scorer than a defensive player. And you're just going to have what? You're going to have one of the worst defensive backcourts in the entire league, maybe even ever, because you have two guys at 6'1" that just don't really play a lot of defense, are kind of the same player. I just think you run the risk of it being an absolute mess. But maybe the Knicks are looking at it as like, hey, get the talent now and figure it out later, right? You get RJ, you get Mitchell, you get Brunson, you let them run together, you see how that works out, and if it works out, great, cool. If it doesn't, then you have these three young talents that you could use to kind of facilitate a trade, things like that. Better to have the talent than the unknown, right? Better to have a guy like Donovan Mitchell than a player that in 5 years is going to be drafted and he may or may not become a Donovan Mitchell type player. I get it. I do understand it from that regard, but I don't think that Donovan Mitchell moves the needle enough for the Knicks. I think when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, I don't think he's the number one guy on a championship team. I think he's more of like a number two, maybe even a number three guy. I think if he's the guy that's just there to just go get you 25 a night, cool. Like that, I can understand. Give me 20, 25 a night, we're good with that. But if he's the guy that's leading the charge, leading the team, I just don't see him being the best player on a championship contender. I think he's a great talent. I think he's one of those like mid-tier guys. Those guys that are really good, really gifted, really talented, but you need more. And I just don't think the Knicks have enough, plus all the salary space that they have just locked up for the next several years. I just don't think Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett are the four guys that are going to lead you to a championship in the next 4 to 5 years. And that's basically what you're looking at for the next 4 or 5 years. But the reason I'm talking about RJ Barrett and Donovan Mitchell and all of that stuff is not necessarily because of the trade, but because of what Thibodeau wants. Based on reports, RJ Barrett was included in the deal, right? RJ Barrett, 2 first-round picks, was what the Knicks were trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, things changed. That's not going to be the case. And Thibs wanted RJ Barrett traded. That is right. Thibs wanted either McBride or Barrett or Toppin or any of the other guys except for Grimes. He wanted Quentin Grimes, to stay with the Knicks. And as of right now, he still is with the Knicks. But the reason that he wants him on this team is because he believes he is a better shooter and defender than RJ Barrett. And if you're going to get a guy like Donovan Mitchell, well, then you need a 3-and-D guy like Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes doesn't need the ball the way that RJ Barrett does. He can just be your kind of defensive wing player as well as knock down threes. And that was the thing. You're going to go get Donovan Mitchell, so RJ Barrett becomes irrelevant. That's why I mentioned all the things that I mentioned. That's why I was diving into Donovan Mitchell in that acquisition. Because as much as Thibs is kind of like against like young guys, young talent, he loves to ride his starters to the ground. We saw it with Chicago, Minnesota, all the places he's gone to. That's kind of his thing. He doesn't really like to play the young guys, and he doesn't really like to play anybody outside of like 6 guys. And that's the whole thinking is like, okay, well, RJ Barrett, trade him, give up draft picks, keep the other younger guys because, those guys are more fitting for the team. If you get Donovan Mitchell, it'll make it easier for me to kind of make this all work than if you have 3 guys that need the ball and need to score and this, that, and the other. In that regard, I kind of understand what Thibs means. I usually don't agree with what Thibs says when he says all the things that he says. Like Cam Reddish. Thibs didn't want them to trade for Cam Reddish, even though they were getting Cam Reddish for basically pennies, because he was like, we have too many wing players. Well, now you're going to go get a guard, and it's like, hey, Cam Reddish might be really nice for you if you would have traded RJ Barrett. But now you didn't trade RJ Barrett, so what happens to Cam? I think he gets included in the Donovan Mitchell trade. Something like a McBride, Toppin, Cam, couple firsts is probably what's going to end up getting the deal done. And then Cam Reddish likely goes to a team like the Lakers, because the Lakers are linked to that, and Lakers want to be the 3rd team. So maybe there's that 3-team deal. But nonetheless, I understand the whole Grimes thing. I understand the logic. You're going to have these 2 guards that are going to need defensive guys. Like if you had Brunson and Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell, and then you have Mitchell as like your center. And then if your power forward and your small forward were like defensive 3-and-D guys, like, okay, maybe that works. Maybe you can work that out, because you're really going to need to help Mitchell and Brunson. You're going to need those defensive guys to really make up and pick up the slack, because those 2 guys aren't going to be able to stop anybody. And so you need that shot blocking center down low. You need a solid, 6'8", 6'9", maybe even 6'10", power forward type guy that could guard multiple positions, that can come and be strong on the help defense, and then go get a guy like, like a Grimes, something like that, that can be that 3-and-D guy. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. You could drive and kick. He'll play some defense. He knows his role, this, that, and the other. That's kind of the thinking, right? So I do think that the Knicks are going to unload some of this young talent. Like, I think quickly, if you're going to go get Donovan Mitchell quickly, I think becomes irrelevant. You don't really need him anymore. I think he's a guy that you could kind of give up, because now you have too many guards. McBride, probably another guy they get rid of. Like I said, Toppin, another guy you probably get rid of. It's just, it's interesting. But anyway, as always, those are my thoughts and opinions, and I pass the question to you. What do you think about Thibs wanting to keep Grimes over RJ Barrett? Do you think that that's like, breaking news? Do you think that's, something that's crazy, it's ridiculous? Or do you think like, no, it makes sense, You're getting Donovan Mitchell, you already have Jalen Brunson, you don't need the RJ Barrett shooting, 20 shots a game, getting you 20 points. You need somebody that can just play some solid defense, know his role, not have to compete against Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. They're going to get the bulks of the shots. There's your 1-2 punch. You need those role guys that are going to, do the dirty work. Quentin Grimes is that guy, right? Or do you think like, no, like, you trade him, trade whoever you need to, go get Donovan Mitchell. I really don't understand the need or desire or want for Donovan Mitchell, but for whatever reason, they really seem destined to acquire Donovan Mitchell and do everything they can to get Donovan Mitchell. So, I mean, if they do, I hope it works for them. I really do. I think this is more of like a, hey, let's be relevant type thing than hey, this is the best deal, it's the best trade type thing. But I think it would be great for the New York Knicks to be good at basketball, right? I mean, they haven't been a legit contender in like 30 years. I mean, I'm talking about like deadlock, like, okay, this team can legit win the championship. They've had some nice teams. They've been relevant, like with Melo and stuff like that. But once you saw what they really were, they were never a real contender. They were second round exit at best. I think the Knicks being good is good for the game of basketball. But it's just been so long since we've seen that. And it's just the management has been horrible. The ownership, horrible. But it looks like Leon's really starting to turn things around. I just don't get the Donovan Mitchell thing. I think he's done everything right except for try to go and acquire Donovan Mitchell. I do like that he called the bluff, though. You know what I mean? Because you see that happen a lot with GMs. They'll put a deadline on the table and say, this is what you got going on. And then they just fall through with it and they don't actually execute it. I like that he was like, look, you have until this date, and if this deal doesn't get done by the end of this date, I'm extending RJ Barrett and he's out of the trade conversation. So what do you want to do here? And I like that he actually went through with it. He actually went and extended RJ Barrett to the 4-year, $120 million contract. So I respect that. It'd be nice to see the Knicks kind of get back into relevancy. I just don't think Donovan Mitchell's the way to do it. I think it'll be a fun moment, and then that'll pass. The Knicks will still be pretty bad, and everything will be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, there it is. That's it. It's done. Over with. But anyway, again, those are my thoughts and opinions, and as always, I pass the question on to you. Love to hear yours down in the comment section. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.